Edge computing is regarded by many as critical to the delivery of next generation communication services, but there are still a lot of questions to be answered about the role of Edge and the associated business case. Now, to find out more, I'm talking today with Mirko Voltolini, VP of Strategy and Innovation at Colt Technology. Mirko, great to see you again. Thanks very much for joining us. In general, do you think telcos have rushed into edge computing without any solid evidence of new revenue streams? I mean, are there any real business cases for telco edge deployments right now other than to support virtual RAN rollouts?
Hi, Ray. Great to see you too. Maybe I think we need to start with defining, at least from our perspective, what edge is. I think everybody has a different definition. So for me and for Colt, I see it as adopting general purpose high performance computing for as a technology at the edge of the network, meaning for us it's both on customer premise as well as at the periphery of the network to deploy different kind of network functions and associated telecom services. So what kind of functions and applications are we currently running? I think people do not immediately assume that services like SD-WAN and SASE are currently running on edge. They used to be running on dedicated server machines. Now they're running on general purpose shared applications. So to me, I think the starting point is that we consider SD-WAN and SASE already an applications. And I would say it's probably the killer application for us today. The volumes we have deployed of SD-WAN and security services associated with SD-WAN on both customer prem, white box, edge computing device, as well as on the network edge, is quite a large number now. So its volumes are increasing quite a lot. And then we also started to move general routing and security functions alongside SD-WAN on the network edge. So I think there is already quite a good foundation for as a business case for edge. We're not starting from zero. We're not trying to find applications to justify the business case, at least from our perspective. We did not go out and deploy hundreds of different distributed edge, network edge computing device just yet. We do it on the basis of demand. So we base it on the fact that we need to cover globally our footprint and enable the delivery of these telecom services across the world in all the various locations we're present. So I'd say, maybe going back to the question, SD-WAN is partly a new revenue source, is partly substitution to a PVPN and pillars-based VPN. And then we have a number of capabilities running alongside SD-WAN, which are optimizations of the network. So they're more on the cost reduction side and general technology optimization of the network using general purpose computing technology instead of proprietary appliances. So, and we continue to transform the network also on that basis. For instance, we're currently redeploying our VoIP control plane, our SBCs and control plane into our distributed edge to, again, optimize how we deliver services to customers. So I think this is the foundation for us, and it's been the driver of the business case for deployment of edge computing.
Okay, so lots of use cases there, really. Does Colt regard edge computing as an opportunity to develop new services and build new revenue streams? And I mean, it certainly sounds like it does.
Yes, I mean, I was again primarily referring to what I again call the foundation of edge computing for us. We're looking at a number of additional applications, in particular in the smart vertical domain. Let me define it. Things like smart manufacturing, smart health, smart buildings, smart offices, and eventually component of smart cities, which are quite complicated environment from the technology standpoint. If you look at what's happening in the enterprise space, everybody's looking at digital transformation, And typically, these transformation projects involve a number of underlying technologies, supporting enabling technologies like cloud and edge, private 5G, AI, typically IoT are typically the main recurring components. Sometimes other things like blockchain, immersive technologies. So it's quite a complex set of capabilities and network, of course, connectivity between the various different technologies. This is quite a complex environment, and edge is a foundational component of this type of activity. So we're looking at how we can leverage edge and all the other technologies, typically in partnerships with technology providers, system integrators. It's quite a complex world that we don't pretend that we can cover it all by ourselves. So we prefer to partner for the aspect of the technology in particular. We're not going to be able to deliver and manage just by ourselves. So these are the use cases we're looking at. And I think here Edge plays quite a significant role. Some of the applications we're looking at, like private 5G, which are requiring this type of environment, have been natively developed to run on an edge compute environment. So there is no other way of doing it other than using this type of technologies. These are, let's say, nascent use cases. There is lots of experimentations going on. Most of the implementations, especially in complex environment like manufacturing, are still in pilot stage or limited deployment. So it's the beginning, I think, of a transformation happening that again will consume lots of different components, including edge.
Yeah, so I mean, as you mentioned there, edge assets are being cited as important for those service providers looking to provide private 5G and get deeper into the broader enterprise services sector. But I mean, how do you think this is going to play out? Is there a blueprint for success here? Is there any one way to approach the needs of enterprises?
I mean, it's difficult to say we have a cookie cutter blueprint approach. It is definitely a very complex environment, and we are developing vertical focus use cases. Within that, defining blueprints of the different components. Let's take an example again, smart manufacturing. The combination of it uses typically cloud and edge, a private 5G element, IoT and sensors, and some applications typically focus on the vertical smart manufacturing application. The blueprint contains and hooked together a network, of course, which is again another foundation, including security. The blueprint put together all these different components and implement a number of different sub use cases that are specific to the vertical. So this is how we're approaching it. But you cannot take the blueprint and then apply to let's say, a smart office environment. In that case, the type of applications will change. I think the ingredients are typically common, but they change in terms of how you pick them and how you put them together.
Okay. I mean, obviously that makes a lot of sense, and we're hearing that from quite a few service providers that are delving into this area at the moment. Now, the distributed, more cloud-oriented nature of edge-enabled services is going to open up the market to even greater competition. And telcos need to be ready to adapt quickly as new market dynamics impact the market. But are the telcos ready for this? Are they ready for the new environment, the new markets that they're going to be playing in?
I like to say yes here, but unfortunately, we're not there yet. I think we made the significant changes, and again, depends on the type of environment that you're in. Some of the larger carriers are maybe behind. Some of the smaller ones, like Colt, have, I think, made quite significant changes. We're not there yet. I think you need to consider multiple different aspects here. One is the skill sets available within the telecom environment, which historically, again, has been focused primarily on telecom services. So we are evolving the current skill sets and the organization to be more aligned to the technology requirements coming from this area. Then there is also, I think, is more of an organizational mindset approach, and also how you set up the organization. We need to work. I mean, we're in a cloud-like environment now, and I think we need to adopt cloud-like practices without the approach that cloud providers are taking. For instance, automation first, agile development. We're not going to be able to become sufficiently agile and dynamic to cope with a very fast changing environment. So I think in general we're on a journey now. Some challenges in the market. It's quite difficult to find skill sets. There is lots of competition for talent now in the market, and I think that's not helping us to move as fast as we could. Everybody's trying to go for the same talents pool available, especially in certain countries. So those are some of the challenges we currently have. So still a long journey, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you can just flick a switch on for sure. And while the whole environment of cloud and edge is very software oriented, there's still a very physical aspect to all of this. Do network operators need to be a bit more savvy about how they use and share their real estate as networks become more distributed and edge service opportunities grow?
Definitely, I think there is a need to consider where you have real estate assets. I mean, historically, as Colt does not have a very large real estate deployment. We've been pretty much centralized in terms of network facilities. So we have a few locations, but not that many. I think some of the incumbents definitely have lots of presence within the cities, within the countries. So those central offices need to be looked at and considered. Not all of them will be suitable, but I think we need to look at telecom and the communication world becoming very pervasive geographically and ubiquitous, so everywhere basically. And taking into account the physical aspect requirements, locations will be quite fundamental. Other things happening here, especially looking at 5G and new wireless technologies, street furniture, buildings, rooftops, availability and ownership of those real estate locations will be quite important, especially in the cities where there is a need to have dense coverage. From the Colt standpoint, I think we have a significant opportunity on leveraging the assets of our customers, so the actual buildings. We are connected to about 30,000 buildings, and so being present there is quite a good capability for Colt.
Okay, yeah, lots to consider there, especially for the very large telcos in terms of what they do with their buildings and their real estate. Well, Mirko, great to talk to you. Thanks for providing us with the insights from the Colt perspective today, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for having me.